Brought to you by Sip for Your Cause.
Welcome again to another exciting episode of Let's Talk Nonprofits, show where we discuss those best practices to help nonprofits increase their awareness, their funding, sustainability, and ultimately their impact. And we are so appreciative of all our sponsors, advertisers that make this show possible. And in particular, we would like to recognize our show sponsor, Sip for Your Cause. And you can reach them at www.sipforyourcause.org and find out how they can help your nonprofit organization reach its goals. Well, today we are very excited, and I am personally just on a high today to have a good friend, Shem. And Shem, you know, I always mess up your last name, so, you know, because I never call it. But give me the correct pronunciation.
Shem, Orwenyo.
And let me tell you, and it's spelled like it sounds. So it's just I call him Shem all the time that I never pronounce it. But I would like to welcome my good friend and the executive director and founder of the Nuru Center, Shem Orwenyo. Welcome, Shem.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, let me tell you, I'm glad that we finally had a chance to find the best time for you to come and share all the great work that you're doing with the Nuru Center. And one thing that we always do on the Let's Talk Nonprofit show is, before we get into all the great work that you guys do, you know, I really like for them to understand that the people that are out there making significant difference in the world and in the communities, you know, that they are, my wife tells me to find a better way to say this, but you guys are just ordinary, you know, that this is the part she doesn't like me to say, but you're not special. I mean, you know, you become special because of what you do, but you've taken on a challenge and accepted that. But tell them how really ordinary you are. So just tell them, who is Shem?
I was raised in Kenya as my origin, and for people to understand why I do what I do, they have to understand where I come from. Yeah. I came from a middle-income family in Kenya. My father used to work in a forest department, and by the nature of his job, we used to live in very rural areas. And happens that our family was the only family probably which wore shoes, who could afford new clothes. And growing up in that environment in different parts of Kenya, I knew that these friends that I play with every day don't have the same chance as I did, coming from a more middle-income family. And that was the seed for what we do today. Is I knew I would have to go back to those areas and give back to kids and provide them an opportunity to get out of that cycle of poverty.
And I tell you, Shem is, I mean, he has the biggest heart of anybody that I know, and that's on a friendship level, and just seeing how he interacts with the people that he leads. He leads several different organizations, and in times of crisis, and even when there aren't, he just pours with an open heart. So that you just shared, you know, it is not out of character. So again, you hear that back in Kenya is how this whole movement of the Nuru Center really began as a seed in you. So tell them, what is the Nuru Center?
Nuru Center is a charity organization. Our mission is to provide a way out of poverty to kids in rural Kenya, mainly through education, through healthcare, and other activity. Right now, we have a couple of programs, the main one being a scholarship program that provides kids going into high school an opportunity to advance. To understand why that's important is you have to know that the education system in America and in Kenya are different.
Yeah.
In Kenya, when you do the 8th grade, you do a national exam. Based on your performance, you're selected to a secondary school, which is usually boarding. Mm-hmm. And the better you perform, you go to like an Ivy League school, which you call like national school. So the better you perform, the better school you go to, which means you get better facilities, better teachers, and everything.
Okay.
It costs somewhere on average between $700 to $900 a year. to go to high school in Kenya. So you can imagine for those poor families in rural areas who live on $1 a day or $2 a day, a lot of the kids, smart kids, they end up dropping off school because they can't afford to go to high school. It's not free. Or they go to the local schools, which are a little cheaper to go to, but they don't provide the quality or kind of education that they could have gotten if they actually go into, the schools they qualified for. So we choose those kids who are smart, who have an idea of what they want to do in life, and we provide them the light and a way so that they can be successful and hopefully come and break that cycle of poverty.
One thing I want to say is that you heard Shem say that $700 to $900 per year is the cost of that child being able to attend the school that they have actually qualified for by performing academically well. When I think about $700, $900 per year, I don't even want to talk about what we do with that type of money here. But I'm going to stop right now and just tell you to please, at this point in time, I want you to go to www.nurucenter.org, and I want you to figure out how you can contribute towards $700, $900 per year in just one child. Start with one. But then I challenge you to bring others on board, and you guys begin to compete with each other and see how many children that you guys can collectively help support. We're talking $700 to $900 per year, guys. And I'm going to say that. Go ahead.
Yes, and yes, we structure. You can sponsor a child directly, and we assign you a child, and you follow their progress. Every semester they come out of school, we provide you their grades and their performance and their letters they write. You can write letters back to them through us. But it amounts to about $60 a month. And we have people who actually sponsor a specific child. We give them an opportunity to choose how comfortably they want. There are some people who pay monthly, $60 a month, and they cover the fees. There are people who pay by semester, and there are people who pay it all up front at the beginning of the year. The school year in Kenya starts in January through November. So there are people. And we work with the sponsors to make sure that they are supporting and they are bringing change to a child's life in the most comfortable way that they can.
I'm going to make a confession. This is the first time I knew that. I knew that there were children that can be supported, but I didn't know there could be the monthly means. And so I'm glad that you shared that with us. I think I knew that there was a sponsorship of a particular child, but I did not know there was the exchange of communication. Like you say, you can actually follow the progress of the child.
Yes, it's important that you know that your money is actually going to somebody specific, and making sure, because we choose kids who we think will do well. So we want you to be able to follow their progress. If you have concerns, and we have a lot of sponsors who write back to us and say, hey, this child is failing in this grade, what can I do? And we reach out, get to our mentors on the ground, and make sure that the child knows there's that concern, and there are people back here. You cannot understand how important it is or how big it is for a child to know there's somebody 1,000 miles away who's looking out for them. And just that impact motivates them a lot.
I can only imagine, and I should tell you, Shem, I forget the number of years we've known each other, and I know you've been doing this great work, but I never knew that. And I applaud you again. I want to go a little further, and we're going to get to the other programs. But when you talk about the scholarship, you can go onto the website and you can see the children who have been sponsored. But for them to qualify for the scholarship, they write an essay, and let's say, tell us about that process.
So right now, there's a big need in Kenya for help for kids to be able to go to school. So right now we are working in one region in Kenya. And what we do, we work with several schools in that region. The teachers in the elementary, we call it primary from grade 1 through 8.
Okay.
They know the families, they know the children, they know the struggles. So we ask the teachers to come together before they do their national exam at the 8th grade. And they select kids who they think will perform well, but will not have an opportunity to go to high school because of financial need.
Yeah.
And the kids write us an essay. We review the essays. We have somebody on the ground go and do background checks on the families to make sure that we are getting legitimate cases. And then from there, we select them. And once we select a child, we commit to them for at least the 4 years of secondary school. We will see them through as long as they keep good grades and as long as they keep good behavior.
You know, again, I can't think of, I mean, there are great causes that are taking place around the world, here locally, but I can't think of a greater cause to champion than the Nuru Center and Shem and his team, the great work that they do. I'm going to just go a little further before we go to break and go ahead and allow you to share. That is one of the programs, but you guys actually have 3 programs that you guys focus on, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the scholarship.
So the scholarship is our flagship program. That's really the heart of the organization, and that's what we push more. During the holiday season, we have another program. We call it the Kikapu program. Kikapu is a Swahili word for basket. And what we do is, between the month of November and December, the donations we get through those months, we ask people to donate $30. And each $30 would feed a family of 4 for 10 days.
Wow.
So during the week of Christmas, we have volunteers go door to door in very poor families. And you should go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Nuru Center. You'll see some of the videos.
Yeah.
We go door to door and provide and deliver the food to very poor people who would not have had any meal for Christmas later. I mean, on a regular day later on for the holidays.
Yeah. Shem, and again, I knew that there was distribution of food, but I did not know that $30 would feed a family for 10 days.
Yes, we buy lentils, beans, rice, basically the whole basket, because we're not just providing for one meal.
Yeah.
We're just providing a whole basket of food that can feed a family of 4 for 10 days.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad you went into that first.
Yes, and the reason we do that program, it's a one-time program, so a lot of people ask why do you do it only during that holiday? For us as an organization, it's an opportunity for us to know the community we are serving. We actually get to a lot of homes and actually see how they live, and it helps us structure, strategically what we want to do on the long term, because we are networking, we are communicating, we are seeing the community firsthand, and they are seeing us.
Yeah. Yes, very good, excellent. Well, let me tell you, again, that's the second way, and I guess I really need to let us get to the third one before we go to the break. No, I'm not. I'm going to hold that off so we can go ahead and go to a break. But I do want to remind you guys, you've heard the great work. You hear it's a great cause. It's nothing that I need to convince you of. But I would like for you to consider what you've heard. The basket, $30, and that's a one-time event. Doesn't mean you have to limit at $30 given.
Yeah.
You can give as many.
But you can feed as many families as you want.
Yeah. So you can do that, but go to the website. Even while you're watching this video, go ahead and just take a look. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the third way in which the Nuru Center is making a difference in the lives of young people and families and communities in Kenya. So we thank you, and we will see you after the break.
What happens when soldiers come home? Brene Foundation offers hero support to ensure that our heroes abroad can continue to be heroes at home. We link veterans with organizations who are dedicated to guiding the transition from military hero to civilian hero. If you want to find out how you can support our troops at home, please contact the Brene Foundation or visit brene.com.
Does your son need a more challenging, focused, and encouraging educational environment? Renaissance Christian Academy is an affordable private school for boys located in McDonough, Georgia, with certified teachers that are uniquely equipped to help your son master learning. You're welcome to schedule a tour of our facilities by calling 770-305-9881 or by visiting our website at rcaboysacademy.org. Renaissance Christian Academy, developing young men to be great leaders through Christ-centered learning.
Welcome back, and we thank our sponsors for the great job they do in terms of bringing great content to you. And again, we want to recognize our show sponsors, Sip for Your Cause, sipforyourcause.org. Please go locate them on the website, follow them, get involved, find out how they can help you in your nonprofit organizations. And those of you who are experts out there in business that bring support to nonprofit organizations, there's a place for you to be involved as well, so that we can get you in contact with those organizations such as the Nuru Center. So again, we thank our sponsors for making this show possible. Well, we've talked a lot on the first segment with the executive director and founder of the Nuru Center, Shem, Orwenyo, and we're just excited about the great work that he's doing along with his team. And I would tell you this, that as he's made this possible, and in fact, we're going to go back. Let me just cut. How long have you been around with the Nuru? How long has Nuru Center been around?
Nuru Center was officially registered in 2008, around August, and we gave the first scholarship at the beginning of 2009.
Okay.
The first kids we gave scholarship are now in the third year of the university.
Wow.
So
wow. That's awesome.
That's awesome, yes.
You know, one thing I do want to say, and before we get to the third program, I want to go back to the flagship program, the scholarship. Now, on your website, anybody can see the number of recipients that have received during the years. My question to you, and I'm curious as to the answer, but is there a specific number of students the Nuru Center is seeking to sponsor each year?
It really depends. Our ability to sponsor really depends on the financial support. Up to date, we have touched 31 lives. If you count the annual scholarships, that's about 90 scholarships in the 6-7 years we've been around, with over 60,000 in scholarship funds to those kids. Each year, we strive to at least pick 3 to 5 new students to get into the program. But if we are blessed with enough financial support from viewers, people who are attached to do it, we want to be able to pick 10, 20 kids every year and provide, because the need is there. And the toughest thing for my board to do is that season where we have to select. We get about 15 applications, and we have to choose between 3 and 5 because of financial limitations. Yeah. It is the most heart-tearing thing that my board goes through, and the least likely period that they like volunteering. Because if you go to our website, you'll actually see the stories.
Yes.
If you go under the Elimo program, you'll see the stories of the children that we are sponsoring.
Yeah.
And you can imagine, we're only putting those we have selected. Out of that, there are 2 or 3 times more that we didn't select that have similar, very compelling stories. Financial support is really our limitation, because the need is great.
And let me tell you, I was sure I knew the answer to that, and I'm glad that Shem brought that out, because what I want to do, I want to challenge our viewers to help get that number to consistently 10 within the next 2 years minimum. You know, consistently 10, and get that base up, and then we'll go to the next. But when you go, you'll see there may have been 6 this year, there may have been 4 this year, and and I just, that 10 just sticks in my head. And again, if we do better than that, that's great. But as you hear, they will fund as many as they possibly can, because they have more than enough students to qualify.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And if you allow me,
please,
I just want to highlight one of my favorite students in the program.
Please.
There's this girl called Susan. She's one of my favorite. I have a lot of favorite, and I talk to them all the time. So I know that all the children who go through the program personally. But Susan was one of the first students to get a scholarship from us in 2009.
Okay.
In 2007, she did her 8th grade exam. She passed. She was admitted to a very good high school, but she did not have money to go to high school. The parents couldn't afford it. So Susan, being ambitious and still wanting to get something out of her life, she decided to go back in 2008 and repeat the 8th grade so that she can be able to do the national exam again, not knowing where the money will come from.
Yeah.
You know, happens that that's the year we started Nuru Center.
Wow.
And she was one of the first recipients of the scholarship.
Wow.
I like her story because if you talk to Susan and if you look at our videos, she comes out very clearly. She features very prominently on our videos on YouTube. But you can tell she's very determined, very motivated, very ambitious young girl, right?
Yes.
And now imagine if Nuru Center did not step up at that particular time. The fate of Susan would be probably very different. Because the second time she does well, she doesn't get somebody to help her go through school. She gives up on life.
Yeah.
She gets married young. She has kids and goes back to that cycle of poverty.
Wow.
This year, in September, she's going to a 3rd year of the university, trying to still achieve her dream. That's the kind of stories that, you know, we work with. And I encourage the viewers to go read the stories. They're different and they're touching and there are people behind it, there are families behind it, and that's what drives me.
And I won't even try to speak to that. He's done exceptionally well. But I do want you to tell them how to get to the YouTube channel.
So you can get to our videos through at www.nurucenter.org. That's NURU Center CENTER.org. For YouTube channel is youtube.com/Nuru Center. And either way, you should be able to see our videos and our programs. We try to keep our website very updated with information, so it's always a good source. And we also have a presence on Facebook.
Yeah. So guys, listen, go out there and find them, connect with them, like them, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment, get involved, connect, because we're going to talk about the 3rd program, and then we're going to talk about how you can get involved. Beyond just funding. You know, funding is critical, but you know, if there's no one there to do the operational components, there's nothing to truly fund. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about the 3rd program that the Nuru Center offers.
Yes. From the onset, my vision of Nuru Center was to be a self-sustaining organization where we have ways to generate income so that we subsidize and don't depend on donations a lot, predominantly on donation. And that's the way of non-profits now.
Yeah.
It's gotta be self-sustaining, find revenue to, you know, keep you running. So a couple of years ago, we bought a farm, a 5-acre farm back in Kenya. And our goal is to get that farm productive to where we are taking 20 to 30 kids to school based on the proceeds of that farm. That is one of the ways we're trying to be self-sustaining, probably get 60 to 70% of the funds we need to run from within what we are doing. But I talked earlier about, you know, the Christmas program.
Yeah.
That sowed another seed. And the experience for our volunteers when they go on the ground is, you know, day one, they got a shop. We buy everything local so that we can benefit the families in the local area. Yeah. They go to the market, they buy everything fresh, and overnight they package it. And then in the morning, they start distributing. They get into an estate, a subdivision, or an area in the morning. And by noon, they have 100+ kids following them. You can imagine just walking into an estate and just kids who have nothing to do, just following you all day based on what they're doing. Their parents are going to work. You have 7-year-olds carrying 2-year-olds because the parents went to look for, you know, casual labor.
Yeah.
So that's sort of another say that we are working towards. Our long-term goal is to open a community center where we can reach these kids at an early age, where we can nourish their talents.
Yeah.
We can provide them direction from when they're really young, from when they're 7 years old, 10 years old, instead of waiting for them to get to high school. But that's our next big thing that we're working towards, is to open a community center with music program, art program, sports program, where these kids can have somewhere to go when their parents go to casual labor or whatever they go do, so that these kids can have something constructive to do, and as well an opportunity to have a structured program to start building their brains and building their character.
I wanted to save that one for last because I want you to understand that the leader of the Nuru Center, he's not out here just begging, asking people to help. He's not. He's a visionary that is about self-sustaining. And when we talk about the third component of the purpose of this show, sustainability, I mean, that's what he's about. And I always say, and you hear me say on this program, that until nonprofits begin to think of themselves and understand that they're truly businesses and try to figure out ways to generate revenue rather than just depending on the donations, they won't ever go beyond the point of where they currently are. And so I wanted that to come out because there have been many nuggets that we could have talked about, but the nugget I want to share with you today is about self-sustainability. And whether it's through buying a 5-acre farm and generating the crop and selling it, where 70% of the proceeds that comes into the organization is from that, or it's some other means. You hear me talk about the various means, that ideas of sustaining your organizations all the time. But this is a creative one, and the other reason I wanted you to share that is because I want them to understand who you are. He's a creative mind. He's a genius. Yes, he's an IT guy. So right there and there tells you, he's that creative person with that intellect. But he applies his thinking skills, guys, on a broad scale. Like I say, he's involved with various organizations, but particularly today, as we discussed the Nuru Center, I wanted them to see that you are a strategic planner. That you're, and he's thinking years out, guys. He's not just thinking about, okay, can we get through this month or can we get through this year? He's thinking down the road 10 years, guys. So I want you to understand that when you're throwing your support behind the Nuru Center, you're putting it behind a great leader. You're not throwing your money behind someone that doesn't have a vision, but not only has a vision, but has a concrete plan and strategy to execute and get it there. So, I'm glad that you shared that component of it and the story and the background of it. So when you look and see there's a program and there are 3, understand the 4th one is on its way with the youth center. Yeah, so with the community center. So understand, if you partner with the Nuru Center, if you partner with Shem, guys, you're talking about partnering with an organization that is evolving and looking at the needs as they come about and finding ways to solve those problems. So I know I was a little long on that tirade, but I don't ask for your forgiveness. I thank you for receiving it. But what I want to move further, let's talk about the viewers. They're hearing all of the great work that's going on with the Nuru Center. We know that they can sponsor a child. We know that they can donate $30 for each basket. We know they can contribute towards the child's scholarship. But what are other ways in which they can help the Nuru Center to make the difference that you guys are achieving?
We'll start with the financial, because at the end of the day we can't meet our mission without backing. But we always, we have an event coming up, we're always looking for sponsors. So if you're a business out there and you can sponsor an event, and for a non-profit like ours, that's a big challenge. Talking about challenges, is because we serve people who are not in the communities that we are fundraising. So people kind of overlook that need, because companies here really like it's like an advertisement to them. But we are seeking the humanitarian people who are looking at the humanitarian side to help us reach across this ocean, help kids, because we are becoming an interconnected world.
That's exactly right.
So we need to be global citizens. So if you are a business and you have we have opportunity for sponsorships, above and beyond financial, we are always looking for people to volunteer their talents, their time. We have a board that we're still trying to grow. Okay. So if somebody's out there who's seeking opportunity to be in a board, they can always contact us. So we will talk to them and see how they fit in. Okay. We are always looking for graphic designers. We are always looking for web designers, marketing people, accountants. So any skill that you actually have, like Nash said earlier, it's a business. Anything you think Coca-Cola or CNN, any department you think Coca-Cola or CNN has, we have to have it in the organization, and we have that need. So we are always looking for people to volunteer in helping us get our best foot forward, in helping us plan for the future, in helping us refine our programs. Anything that you can do, you're welcome. Contact us.
And let me be a second voice to echo what you've just heard. Shem means that. Shem means that if you have an opportunity to get involved, he will make sure that you do. So reach out to him. He's not just saying this for lip service or just for the show. He means it. And I promise you, you will find that your contribution in any type of way, your knowledge, skill base, your resources, your network, whatever it is as he's described, I promise you, he would allow it to become actively engaged in the process of making Nuru Center more effective, efficiently in their operations. So,
and just to bring it back is, when you volunteer, you get a lot back. Yeah. I give an example of one of my board members. He likes technical stuff, and he started doing photography just as a hobby. And recently, I had somebody looking for a photographer and say, this guy does it. He doesn't do it professionally, but he does a great job, and he got, a way of making extra income, and that's something now is like, I can develop this into something that I can earn extra income on. Yeah. So just by volunteering, it just opens so much opportunities, even for you as an individual, to benefit, and you never know how until you actually come out and volunteer.
Guys, I don't need to say anything else about that. Shem has been he's been a great host, hasn't he? But I would tell you guys, I know we're nearing our time, and I've just thoroughly enjoyed talking with you and discussing Nuru Center, the Nuru Center. Every time I talk about it with you, I learn something new. I feel something different. I get stirred up again. And so I appreciate you for coming on Let's Talk Nonprofits to share.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And before we go, any last parting words, anything else you would like to share with the audience?
The one thing I would like to point out is, up to this point, everything we've done the last 7 years has been on a volunteer basis. So every penny that has been donated has gone to actually the program. So that's something you can feel good about when you donate. At some point, when you start actualizing some of the programs you're doing, we'll start having paid staff on the ground and stuff like that, but it should pay for itself because we are trying to be self-sustaining. Yeah. We have a dinner fundraising gala coming up in August, on August 1st. It's a great opportunity for you to come out and see what we do, see what kind of people run the organization, get stories and interact with the people who have supported us for a while. So if you're in doubt and you're curious and you want to know more about Nuru Center, I invite you to come out to our gala on August 1st. You can get the information on www.nurucentergala.org. We have a venue. It's going to be in the Marietta area, Wingate, right by 285 and 75. So come out from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. We'll be sharing a lot of what we're doing, a lot of our success stories, as well as our annual report and financial reports for the previous year. We pride ourselves in being transparent in everything we do.
Yeah, and you'll notice that on the website, guys. And so, Shem, It's been my pleasure, friend.
It's been my pleasure.
Guys, again, I encourage you to go to the website www.nurucenter.org and find all about the great things that are going there. Reach out to them. Find out how you can get involved and fit it into your lifestyle. And as Shem said, volunteering, it gives back. And I promise you, you definitely will get a lot back by working with the Nuru Center. Well, it's that time that we have to bring this episode to a close, but we have a great opportunity to hear about a great organization, a great leader who shared some great nuggets, guys. So if you need to, play this episode back, listen to what Shem is saying, pick his brain from the video, but then reach out to him. I promise you can find him on Facebook. If you reach out to him, he will respond, and he's willing to share his knowledge and his experience. So reach out to him and get better. And here, as we always said, the Let's Talk Nonprofits show that it's about you increasing your awareness, increasing your sustainability, your funding, and ultimately the impact. So again, we thank our sipforyourcause.org for their support of the show, and we would like to remind you can reach us at www.bizlinks.tv to view all of our shows, our past shows. You can reach us on YouTube at BizLinks TV, and also like us on Facebook, BizLinks TV as well, and follow us on the YouTube channel. Subscribe and also comment, and if you leave some comments for Shem, we'll be sure he gets it, and his team, and they will engage and again connect with them as you've heard. So thank you for attending again, viewing our episode of Let's Talk Nonprofits, and we ask that you please have a very successful and productive day, and this sip's for you.